You might want to consider changing your clothes more often. Would you like a reminder on when your next shower is scheduled?
I could probably spend years fixing this boat, stem to stern. I hope we can help Miss Minnie uncover what happened to her mother. I wouldn't wish the pain of not knowing on hardly anyone. Dad always said I couldn't keep my thoughts to myself, even when I wasn't speaking. I've been churning on that phonograph we found. The one belonging to Dr. Ambrose. The one where she says Spacer's Choice tested adrenotime in Edgewater. By the time they sent that drug to Edgewater, they knew it hurt people. That it made them violent and stole their minds. But they did it anyway. Edgewater was already fraying at the edges and they tore it right to bits. All to make money. I just can't conscience that kind of cruelty no matter how hard I try. It just makes me want to scream. Thanks for letting me talk, Captain. I've been needing to get that off my chest. I still ain't used to folks asking my thoughts, Captain. Sorry they all came tumbling out at once. Thanks for hearing me out. Oh, nuh-uh. Dad wouldn't let me near it. He was a real big believer in rest. Not his own, mind you. Mine. A drug was no substitute for that, he said. No matter what Mr. Thompson told us. He never did follow his own advice. He worked himself to death. And the company didn't even thank him for it. Not that he told me, but Edgewater was a big town then, and it only had me and him to keep it running. Most nights after I got to bed, he'd just keep working. I always wondered how he had the stamina. Turns out he didn't. Thank you for saying so, Captain. He died a long while ago now, but it ain't something you ever get over. You just learn to live with it. I'm still learning.
Hey, should've get off the pot, damn it. Are you listening in there? You can't be hogging the facilities for 40 damn minutes. You ought to see Ellie. You got a condition or something. Hey, Cap. We've seen a lot of stupid in this colony, Captain. Trying to turn raptidons into diet toothpaste. But this, if it's true, if Marauders were made, someone ought to burn for it, Captain. That's a nice thought, Cap. You're a good person. But no. I knew folks who turned. I've seen it happen. It's a slow, insidious descent into madness. Ain't but a shell left behind, sniffing around for its next meal like a canid. Good. They deserve to die slow. Marauders are a problem. Finding out it's self-inflicted is... Ugh! Someone unleashed that evil on our colony. And at the end of all this, they ought to look that evil in the eye and account for it. Maybe. I suspect whatever happened wasn't enough. Someone's pet project died. Cry me a river. Let's go. Let's find out what happened.
As always, I am at your disposal. Anything you'd like to discuss? I must say, our mysterious antagonist is quite rude. It goes against all wireless etiquette to not identify yourself when tossing around threats to life and limb. Under normal circumstances, I'd point the finger at Spacer's Choice, but they wouldn't hide in the shadows. They'd throw the full force of their security apparatus at us. Don't be deceived. UDL knows exactly what they're doing. UDL created the Spacer's Choice Company to flood the market with cheap, substandard goods, and it gave them the capital to be the most powerful corporation on the board. Their profit-before-quality ethos has not only filled their pockets with bits, it also defines who they are and explains the disposable quality of life in Halcyon. I suppose you could say their incompetence is a design feature. The Marauders are just the natural end result of how little value they ascribe to any human life but their own. What's surprising to me is that I allowed myself to be a part of that system. Even after they threw me in the penitentiary, I still acted like I was doing their bidding in Edgewater, selling the townspeople on the idea that the plan supported the board's rule. All in pursuit of a book that I thought would solve all my problems. I appreciate you trying to make me feel better, but please, don't misunderstand. I can still feel regret, as well as a myriad of other normal emotions, but that's all just part of the perfection of life for me now. My emotions neither consume nor define me.
Good to see you, boss. You know, if you told me a corporation was responsible for making all the Marauders, I'd guess it was Spacer's Choice. I don't know what pensive means, but I've been thinking. That voice we heard, the ghost of Gorgon, I can't stop thinking about what they said. Whatever happened on Gorgon was no accident. Spacer's Choice made the Marauders. That's what I've been thinking. Everything they make is built to fail. Starting to feel like Project Gorgon was too. Spacer's Choice made the Marauders. And then those Marauders ended up in every corner of Halcyon. Everybody knows somebody who got hurt by Marauders. Everybody knows some place they got hit by him. Let's just get to the bottom of this job.
Dust accumulation analysis. 2.5 years.
Something on your mind? You know I've got no love for top-rungers, but if Minnie's willing to pay, I say we take her money. Sure. Something on your mind?
Captain, transmission request from Ambrose Manor.
Captain! Imagine my surprise when I saw the Unreliable leaving Gorgon with so much urgency and purpose. Tell me you found Mother's journal. I'm positively dying for good news. Someone? You mean someone still has access to the facility? Oh, after all this time. Who was it? Of course. They know you're on the case and they're scrambling to cover their tracks. Good thinking, Captain. Make sure you have eyes on the back of your head. I doubt we've seen the last of this human vexation. If I know Spacer's Choice, getting past the lockdown will be more complicated than just hitting a big red button. You'll need authorization, and layers of it. No, I think you're going to have to rely on good old-fashioned detective work. It's a good thing you have keen senses, a reliable ship, and a very wealthy sponsor. I seem to recall that Mother worked closely with Gorgon's R&D personnel, but not close enough to invite them over for dinner and cocktails, if you get my meaning. By now, they'll have moved on with their lives. If only I could do the same. I knew Mother was involved with some important chemical trials, but I had no idea her pet project was adrenatime. Adrenatime is a working man's stimulant, like a caffeinoid. Very popular at launch, though the marketing quieted down over time. What? No. I mean, there's some very morbid wording in the fine print, but I had no idea adrenatime could make marauders out of people. That's it. That must be it. Spacer's Choice is keeping their dirty little secret about adrenatime off the record. We have to find Mother's journal. If we don't, then Spacer's Choice gets away with murder. I only hope we aren't too late. Adrenatime was touted as the working man's best friend, a drug that boosted productivity with no adverse effects. The promise of adrenatime cannot be overstated. Exhaustion and fatigue were supposed to be obsolete. Workplace accidents would be things of the past. For whatever reason, the drug never lived up to that promise. I don't know. And thanks to Spacer's Choice, we may never find out. I know that I'd like to see a colony where the promise of adrenatime was fulfilled. And I doubt I'm the only one. Thank you. I certainly ought to know what I'm doing. I spent years trying to break into pharmaceuticals, professionally speaking. Mother wouldn't hear of it. She didn't think I had the wit to succeed in her line of work. Safe travels. If your leads give you any trouble, be sure and give them some trouble back, yes? Ta!
Welcome back, Captain. How can I be of assistance? Goodbye. We are now in orbit above Byzantium, Captain.
Oh, there. That's one right there. Can't you just see the stench of impropriety radiating off of him?
Welcome to the Musgrave Family Collection. Still a work in progress. If you're here for the annual Canid review, I'm afraid it's already over. Only thing going on behind those doors is good, old-fashioned lawful behavior. This greeting constitutes your confidentiality agreement. You hereby agree not to disclose the location or existence of these events. Thank you for cooperating. Exactly. You do catch on fast. Now then, how can I help you? We find that our clients enjoy the appearance of participating in illegal activities. Secrecy contributes to a feeling of indecency. The Musgrave Family Collection was intended to be a gallery of fine art. And here we are, using this place to practice semi-legal canid shows. Scandalous, isn't it? That's privileged information. I really shouldn't tell you. That's a fair point. All right, I'll tell you. But just keep this between us. The Musgraves own one of Earth's largest private collections of art and literature. They were going to have the entire collection shipped all the way to Halcyon. Unfortunately, that collection never arrived. We haven't heard anything from the delivery convoy, and there's some purely hypothetical concern that the collection might be, well, I was going to say indefinitely delayed by unforeseen and unknowable circumstances, but yes, let's go with that. Anyway, that's as much as I can tell you. Will there be anything else? Mr. Mostly is indeed attending our event, although I am disappointed to discover he did not officially enter his canid La Place into our competition. You should find Mr. Mostly just inside the prep room. Head inside and take the door to your left.
Just between the two of us, I hope this doesn't become a tradition.
Not looking forward to the next annual Canid review?
Not looking forward to the canids. Odious things. I don't know why we let them prance around the city. I'm just here for the Spectrum Violet.
I've heard stories of wild canids outside Byzantium, but frankly, I don't believe it.
Today's trends are tomorrow's trash.
Welcome. This unit has been programmed to provide a selection of marginally subversive repartee. Now loading banter protocol. Indecency ratio set to 15%. Greetings, attractive patron. You are looking downright unlawful today. Why not complement your disorderly behavior with a little drunkenness and purchase a beverage?
I was so looking forward to that new program by Alonso Vallejos. I can't believe it's been canceled.
I was so looking forward to that new program by Alonso Vallejos. I can't believe it's been canceled.
How long did you say Musgrave was gone?
I didn't. Frankly, I don't know. A couple of years? More? He said he was off on some type of beautification treatment, which I can only assume is a euphemism.
The Emerald Vale plant is back to full production. There's something to be thankful for.
I think I would have preferred primals over canids, but there's always next year.
I'm just here for the Spectrum Violet. Do you know what I'd like to see?
Winston Forsythe and Clarence Mostly in a staring contest?
I was going to say a sequel to Terror on Monarch, but I like your idea better.
The Emerald Vale plant is back to full production. There's something to be thankful for.
Oh, just hear me out. It's a brilliant idea.
Is this about canid hunting? We've been over this before. It's a terrible idea.
Canid hunting is the natural evolution of canid shows. No one's going to miss a few backwater laborers anyway. The excitement wears off rather quickly, don't you think?
I'm just here for the Spectrum Violet.
Not now, please. I'm a little too busy, you know, being the master of ceremonies.
Today's trends are tomorrow's trash.
Welcome. This unit has been programmed to provide a selection of marginally subversive repartee.
Hey, Maverick Johnston's newest star. I've got a question for you. Do you know the interesting thing about canid shows? So am I. Canids are a fascinating species, biologically speaking. Mathematically speaking, the interesting thing about canid shows is this. They're an exercise in futility. Winning is predetermined. Over time, the inevitable trend is that the race goes to the swift. Time and chance are just statistical outliers. In other words, if you put enough canids through enough trials, the one with the most optimal attributes generally wins. Exercise in futility. Oh, I've been told I should try to socialize more. Sharing an interesting fact is a proven method of endearing oneself to a stranger. I'm an actuary, you see. Well, not entirely. The actuarial sciences are more of a passion than a profession. So I suppose that makes me mostly an actuary. That's a bit of a family joke. I'm Clarence Mostly. Yes, that's us. Mostly oak trees, too. My grandfather invented them, you know. Well, no, he didn't invent mostly oaks, but he did purchase the naming rights back during the terraforming days. It's essentially the same thing. Oh. Then you're not here about my monograph. It's true, I was involved with Project Gorgon, but that chapter of my life is long since closed. Listen, I don't know what you want with Gorgon or with me, but let me give you some free advice, Let the past go. Live in the moment. Enjoy the party. Let me hazard a guess. You didn't listen then, and you're not about to listen now. If I wanted to send you a message, I'd arrange for a notarized affidavit. Cryptic warnings and subtle threats are not my forte. Someone with resources. Security countermeasures require a special override. Whoever locked down the facilities must have been watching you. Lifting the lockdown won't be easy. You'll need to send overrides from the chem lab and human inquiry. I don't have that level of clearance, but I know 2 people who do. The trouble is, I don't know you. I don't trust you. I washed my hands of Gorgon, and you're asking me to dirty them all over again. I'm going to need a good reason. I advise against trying to dig up what's been buried. Sooner or later, you're going to draw up something rotten. I want a favor from you. Do something for me, and I'll do something for you. That way, we don't have to rely on mutual trust. The grand prize trophy to the P.E.T review. I want it in my hands. Get me that trophy, and I'll give you the remaining researchers. Names, locations, as much information as I have. My P.E.T, Laplace, is statistically superior to every other P.E.T in this review. Better average sprinting time, superior gait coefficient, optimal anatomical symmetry. I didn't bother entering little Laplace in this pointless contest. He's already won on paper, you see. That trophy rightfully belongs to him. Oh, you're much too kind. Does this mean you'll do it? Head into the main hall and take the elevator down into the maintenance tunnels. You'll find a service passage that leads up into the trophy room. The maintenance tunnel is the only way up into the trophy room. Some technician barred the door shut on our end. Ask Tilda Coatsworth about it, over by the podium. What's on your mind? At the moment, nothing. I have a one-track mind. I can't stop thinking about that trophy. Why isn't it in my hands? When is it going to be in my hands? And so on and so forth. You get me that Best in Show trophy, and it'll clear my mind right up. My eye! I was wondering where I'd misplaced that old thing. It's perfectly preserved, you know. Every eye possesses unique dimensions, not unlike a fingerprint. The circumference, the shape, the color of the iris. An eye makes excellent proof of identification, assuming you don't mind removing one. I'd rather not get into the details. If Spacer's Choice ever asks you to test out their new model of monocle, just say no. Well, that's rather responsible of you. I'll put a good word in your permanent record. What's on your mind?
rather exotic presence. A new Auntie Cleo's facial mask, perhaps? Or experimental pheromones?
My goodness! Is that a Jolliker original? If you wanted to show off, you're a little late for the Canid review. Don't stand too close to the Canids. You don't want their bladder issues all over your suit. Unfortunately, you're too late. The review ended a few days ago. We've submitted our results to the Judiciary Committee and await arbitration. In 8 to 10 short weeks, we'll have the name of a winner. Probably. That gives us 8 to 10 weeks to file a maintenance request. Our technician barred the vault door and then disappeared without a trace. Can you believe that? Now you're speaking my language. The Musgrave Vault contracted a security consultant from UDL. They sent a technician to install a few security upgrades, anti-dissident automechanicals and the like. That technician barred the vault, but neglected to leave us with a way in from here. He wasn't seen leaving the security room, so I can't imagine where he's gone off to. The tunnels are guarded by automechanical security. I don't look nearly boorish enough to resemble a UDL guard, so they'd probably shoot me on sight. In any case, I'd rather not step foot in the tunnels. The tunnels are for disposing of unwanted refuse, and no place for a respectable Byzantine. Your eagerness to serve your betters is commendable. Here's a keycard. It should help you get around inside the tunnels. Now, was there anything else? I'd like to get back to mastering over the ceremonies, or people might question why I have this role at all.
It's not Canid hunting I object to, it's the impropriety.
Since when do you care about impropriety? Canid shows are unlawful, and you showed up anyway.
This is different. I just don't think we should be letting the lower class into Byzantium, even for fun.
Oh, you don't have to be scared of these Canids, Captain. I don't think they're gonna hurt you.
Come now, Anubis, you must perk up.
I've heard stories of wild Canids outside Byzantium, but frankly, I don't believe it.
Is that a Jolliker? Great. I'm going to embarrass myself in front of my betters. I don't suppose you've any formal training in Canid husbandry. I really am at my wit's end. It's my little Anubis, you see. He's listless and miserable. I simply don't know what to do about his condition. You must understand, Anubis is a very picky eater. He dines exclusively on Terra 2 Saltuna, none of that rubbish from Monarch. Unfortunately, we've had a bit of a shortage lately. He's so miserable without his Saltuna. Yes, perhaps you're right. I suppose I have been pushing Anubis a little too hard. I have an automechanical servant to praise me when I feel out of sorts. My Canid deserves the same treatment.
Emerald Vale plant is back to full production. There's something to be thankful for. Don't you look fabulous? Is that a Celeste Jolicoeur original?
Don't you look fabulous? Is that a Celeste Jolicoeur original?
The excitement wears off rather quickly, don't you think?
I've heard stories of wild canids outside Byzantium, but frankly, I don't believe it.
You have a rather exotic presence. A new Auntie Cleo's facial mask, perhaps? Or experimental pheromones?
I've heard stories of wild canids outside Byzantium, but frankly, I don't believe it.
I think I would have preferred primals over canids, but there's always next year.
System.
Oh, we go! That's one down! Woo! Yeah! Now that was fun!
You got that? Wish I could do that.
Wow, that trophy's real gold? Oh, I figured there'd be chocolate inside.
You'd only be letting them into Byzantium temporarily. Long enough for the Canids to sniff them out and chase them around.
It's the principle of the matter. Everything belongs in its appropriate place, and laborers do not belong in Byzantium.
I just think you're being rather narrow-minded. A common laborer might enjoy the chance to see Byzantium. Granted, they'd be seeing Byzantium while running for their lives with canids at their heels.
Bring the idea up in committee if you're so adamant. I just don't think they belong here.
I've got a lot on my mind right now. Our trophy's gone missing, but I can't file an investigation because what we're doing here is technically illegal. Oh, don't look so cross. Those canids were put down mercifully. Not every canid is suited to the intense competition of our review. Some few canids display flaws that cannot be redeemed. A limp, wall eye, poor coloration. Mercifully. Anyway, listen. Nature is red in tooth and claw, and so are we. Competition is practically a law of the universe. I shouldn't have to explain this to you. Go and attend to your business then. Arguing with you is a waste of time.
Jolliker's outfits have been linked to a 12% increase in mild to moderate neck injuries as a result of so many heads turning. Dead canids in the service tunnels. Domesticated canids? Why, that's utterly revolting. My dear friend, I would not dream of hurting a canid. Every canid, regardless of their physical attributes, is a companion to their master. To kill a companion is a profound and unforgivable breach of trust. I'm glad I chose not to participate in this loathsome canid review. I will, however, take their trophy. My trophy! Look at this thing! Have you ever seen a more garish monument to the boredom of the elite? If only Grandfather Mostly were alive today, I would have loved to wave this trophy right in front of his cataracts. I hope you won't take it personally when I say I had my doubts about you. Nothing ever gets done in Byzantium, you see. Competent work is, well, a statistical anomaly. Lifting the emergency lockdown requires overrides from the Chem Lab and Human Inquiry. Access to those facilities requires authorizations from 2 senior-level researchers, Marion Blakesley, Jasper Lowe. They went into hiding after the project collapsed, but I've managed to calculate their last known whereabouts within a reasonable margin of error. I see you're familiar with my technique. I'd love to show you my numbers, but there aren't nearly enough napkins in this room. After the project shut down, I had to keep my mind occupied. I worked on my actuarial tables, calculated the average lifespan of a Spacer's Choice worker, that sort of thing. I realized some of the researchers had to be alive. I ran some numbers, did a little research, and concluded that the 2 most likely survivors are Marion Blakesley and Jasper Lowe. Nonsense. I just needed a good old-fashioned statistical problem to busy my mind. Keeps the faculties lubricated. Let me stop you there. I don't accept anything for free, and if you're going to analyze me, I'd have to go through the trouble of hiring you on contract. Think what you will of my intentions, my calculations are sound. You'll find Marion Blakesley and Jasper Lowe at the enclosed locations. As far as I know, Jasper Lowe and Marion Blakesley are the only 2 surviving researchers with high-level clearance. If you want to lift the lockdown on the manufactory, you'll need to send an override from the Chem Lab and Human Inquiry. I'm afraid it's the only way. I know it feels like you're being led on. What is that colorful metaphor commoners use? A wild sprat chase? Remember, this is Spacer's Choice we're talking about. Their security protocols are just as inefficient and frustrating as their manufacturing. I'll tell you what I can. Dr. Marion Blakesley supervised the Human Inquiry and Auditing Facility. Live subjects, measuring tape and syringes, that sort of thing. Someone sabotaged the facility. Blakesley tendered her resignation and vanished. I'm reasonably certain she's hiding in a maintenance bay on Groundbreaker. Well, with Spacer's Choice equipment, who even knows? Dr. Blakesley tendered her resignation lawfully, but under suspicious circumstances. If you want to know more, you'd best ask her yourself. I'm asking you to trust in the predictive power of data. Dr. Blakesley may have disappeared after that sabotage incident, but the trajectory of her life was implied in her permanent record. Dr. Lowe described himself as a dazzling genius in his review. I disagreed. Of the 19 criteria that constitute the rubric of genius, Dr. Lowe only met 15. After the project shut down, corporate traded him off to Auntie Cleo in exchange for 5 lab coats. He's been transferred to an orbital lab around Olympus. Our office gave Dr. Lowe and his team every opportunity to develop a drug under perfectly reasonable guidelines and generous deadlines. Dr. Lowe failed to meet our requests and largely succeeded in using our supply of drugs to get himself higher than the mortality rate of a line worker at a Saltuna cannery. Certainly. What's on your mind? Let's try to keep it down, shall we? At least pretend we're being discreet? There's not a lot about Project Gorgon I can tell you. I know that's not what you wanted to hear, but I closed that chapter in my life. I've moved on. Look, don't tell anyone I said this. But if there's anything I've learned by living in Byzantium, it's this. If you go looking for the truth, you are looking for trouble. All right. Ask your questions. And then if you don't mind, don't mention Project Gorgon anywhere near me again. Minnie Ambrose. Oh, Olivia's brat. Ambitious, but like the rest of her family, irrelevant. She tried following her mother's example, failed, and if she ever tried again, I couldn't tell you. The name Ambrose doesn't mean anything to me anymore, or to anyone halfway respectable. The Ambroses are, how do I put this politely, obsolete? A family's name is only as strong as its enterprise. The Musgraves have Rizzos, and the Schuyler's have Auntie Cleo, and so we show those names the respect they deserve. The Ambrose name was associated with Project Gorgon. The project died, and so the Ambrose name died with it. That's just the way the game is played. Project Gorgon was designed to change the life of every worker on Halcyon. We weren't just building a product, we were trying to build a society. How many workers call Halcyon their home? What do they eat and when? How long do they sleep? How hard do they work? What are their most productive years? When do their organs begin to fail? That's the nature of my work. I study human life in order to determine its value. Jewelers appraise diamonds, and I appraise people. Of course you can. You can break the entire universe down into numbers and statistics. Human beings are as much a part of the universe as weather patterns and orbital mechanics. It's complicated. I'll be honest, I didn't join Project Gorgon because I wanted to satisfy my intellectual curiosity. I was courting the daughter of a Spacer's Choice family. We were a mathematically congruent match, you see. I had the proofs all written out and everything. Everything. Every project has a margin of failure. We expect setbacks, complications, delays. Project Gorgon experienced a cascade failure. One mistake precipitated another, and another, and another. The labs failed to develop a safe drug. Human Inquiry failed to perform their tests responsibly. An unsafe drug tested on unhealthy subjects by irresponsible supervisors. That's Project Gorgon. Anarchy is not a crime. It is a symptom. The undisciplined workplace secretes anarchy the way our glands secrete enzymes. It's a principle of science. Sabotage came first. The chem lab, Human Inquiry, even my own office. Sabotage broke the discipline of our workplace, leading to confusion, leading to escaped subjects, leading to anarchy. No one appreciates the value of good data. The holistic surveillance device I wear is an invaluable tool, gathering data on all my day-to-day activities. My former colleagues can go into hiding and live in ignorance for all I care. I prefer the self-examined life. I know. Project Gorgon was a failure of leadership. Leadership to which I belonged. I should have pushed for stricter supervision. We gave the other departments too much freedom and not enough oversight. Spare the rod, spoil the servant.
Something busted, Captain? You want to ask about anything in particular, Captain?
Good to see you, boss. You ever wonder if those Canids are happy in Byzantium? You know me, boss. My idea of having fun in Byzantium involves burning the city down. Then again, this wouldn't be a proper adventure serial if we weren't at some fancy Byzantium shindig, rubbing elbows with the rich. And then, robbing them blind. Look, everybody goes through some type of schooling. Mine was adventure serials. Trust me, boss, we're starring in one right now. And we ain't even at the best part yet. Anyway, by the look you're giving me, I'm guessing it's time we got back to it.
Something on your mind? What's on your mind? Sure. Something on your mind?
Got big messes, huge messes, mega giant messes? Leave it to Sam. Battery levels are fully charged.
Yes, you caught me ruminating again. Guilty as charged. What's occupying your thoughts? I must say, our mysterious antagonist is quite rude. It goes against all wireless etiquette to not identify yourself when tossing around threats to life and limb.
Would you like a reminder on when your next shower is scheduled?